Good timing, I reckon, to speak to One Nation's WA state leader, Rod Caddies. He's in the studio. G'day, Rod.
Hey, Jamie. How you going, mate?
Good. Spirits high after the weekend?
Oh, definitely feeling very good about what happened on the weekend in South Australia.
What do you make of what the polling has shown over the last year and I suppose what you saw in South Australia on Saturday night?
Well, I just think people have had enough of the Uniparty about bad decisions that have happened over many decades now. It's just not that protest vote that the narrative keeps getting pushed, that this is all just a protest vote. This is people that really starting to understand politics now and know that what they've been getting from the two parties that have been tag teaming just isn't what they need to make sure that they've got a roof over their head and that their children are going to have a good future in this country.
What tells you that it isn't a protest vote, that it's about more than that?
Well, I've seen over the 10 years I've been involved in the party, we've had ups and downs. We've seen polling come and going where we go up in the polls and drop down a bit. But this time we've one, it's the trajectory stayed there for many months. Secondly, we've seen the amount of people that are joining the party, committing to being members of the party. So when you financially commit to something, it just shows it's a little bit more than just, I'm going to vote, saying that on social media. It's people joining up and getting excited and wanting to be part of the movement.
Do you think people maybe going back 10, 15 years ago, there was a level of embarrassment to say you're a supporter of One Nation? Do you think that's changed?
Oh, definitely. That's another, you can see that in your own friends, with business people who, supported you behind the scenes, but were a little bit weary of coming out on the front foot to say they support One Nation because the narrative had been set for a lot of years, whether through media, through mainstream media or through the two big parties making sure that they kept that monopoly on being in that two-party sort of system. So, now it's changed.
Part of it's probably set by things that those within the party have said as well. The first speech by Pauline Hanson in Parliament, the line about being swamped by Asians probably gave that party, well, it did, a racist tag. You think you've shed that?
Oh, I think mostly. I think there will be still people, there'll be little segments of society that will still not have come to the conclusion that that's just not true. But I think as a majority, I know I've got many friends I associate with from all areas of life, and including people that usually sway more to the left. But even them now talk to me and say they understand One Nation and Pauline better than they used to from seeing what they've seen on on media or from the major parties. So
you think there's been an evolution in what you're about?
Yeah, I definitely think we've become a more professional party. We're getting more people as it dampened on that narrative, because I had to live with that. I'm not this racist person that was being portrayed, that we're all a bunch of racist, uneducated bigots, and that's what used to be always pushed. But now that's not cutting through. People, as soon as it goes up there, they go, that's tired. You can push that all you like, but it's simply not true.
So I know if you look at the numbers of what happened in South Australia over the weekend, you've pushed past the Liberal party there. You're the second highest polling party behind, the Labor Party, which is a very, very strong win. Do you think that you're on the brink of doing that in Western Australia as well?
Oh, I definitely think we're in the right direction. The polling that came out of, a couple of weeks back showed that we're at 17 and Liberals are at 21. And Labor at 35. And it showed Labor had lost 5% and Liberals lost 9%. So we're not just eating away at Liberals. We're not just chasing Liberals. We're chasing to be a government. I'm not here to be opposition. I'm looking to form government one day so that we can bring around real change for Western Australia.
You think you could be the Premier of Western Australia?
Oh, you never say never.
But do you think it's real?
Well, if I had I'm not sure. I'm 54 now. A couple of terms. Who knows? We've seen where the Liberal went from government in 2017 to where they were when they only had a couple of seats. A lot of things can change overnight in an election. You could have every seat go to another party. If people get upset enough and they realise that it's all in a vote, they roll up on election day. Anyone could be Premier. Any party that is, promising the right things and bringing the right policy.
You're a party that has been built on what you're against through a lot of your history, and you do see that with minor parties to a degree. Are you able to flick the switch and tell us what you're for?
Oh, it's definitely, there's the homelessness, the housing, all these things. I've been working already in the last 12 months since I've been in Parliament I've been out there working out ways, the whole problem we have is there's a lot of money there, but it's directed in the wrong areas. So I'm looking for solutions. So yes, I'm a solution-based politician, I believe. I'm looking for ways that we can help young people get their first home, how we can get the homeless off the street. There's plenty of money out there. It's just directed. You only have to look at the racetrack and the rugby team and where the government, direct their resources. I'm sure the people that are the homeless living, and these aren't just people with mental health issues or drug issues. These are everyday West Aussies, middle-class people that just aren't able to get a rental.
What led you to politics? Why did you want to get involved in this caper?
Well, at the time I was working in child protection, and I'd been there for, close on 15 years, and I seen governments come and go, both Liberal and Labor, and there was constantly where budgets were stripped from our departments and that, and I seen such great work happening like mentoring, and then budgets would be stripped, and then they would say, oh, we can't have any mentors anymore. And I seen the work that was happening there and how positive it was for the young people we were working with. And so, I started to get frustrated and went, I was whinging online like most people do, and they do these days. And I've always known, I've been told so many times by, my mother, my father, everything, that if you don't whinge about things, get in and do something. So, yeah, I ended up getting into politics through my, issues with that.
Okay. Your maiden speech to Parliament was pretty raw and honest as well. Was it difficult to be that vulnerable?
Oh, yes, but I think, that's what I am as a person coming to that house, to the Legislative Council. I believe we are there to be the voice of the people, and I think people need to know who you are and what you stand for. So I didn't want to go in there, spruiking up what all the things I was going to try to change in Parliament. I wanted, you need to go in there. That first maiden speech, I believe, is to really give people an understanding of who you are as a person and whether they can trust you, whether they can trust what you're going to tell them moving forward is real.
Hey, a few texts coming through and a few questions for you as well. 0487 999 882. This from Adam, who says, One Nation is definitely a party that's here to cause chaos and division. They're doing that. You can see it with the attitude online. People like Pauline Hanson, it's like Trump light, suggesting that's what Australia needs. It's definitely not what this country needs. We need a strong leader, but I don't think it is her. And that's from Adam. What's your response to that?
Well, Adam, for starters, I'm in Western Australia, so if you can point something out in Parliament or on my social media and that I'm causing chaos, you might have a leg to stand on there. But the truth is I'm here in Western Australia as the state leader of One Nation, and I'm fighting to make sure that people have a roof over their head, that they can get a decent income and provide for their family and have food on the table. So, there's no chaos here. So, that's just, again, that's the rhetoric that, they push when they find the policies. Look up Western Australia's website and look at our policies. Look at what we're trying to do. There's no chaos there.
This text as well. No name on this one. It says, Jamie, I'm African. I immigrated to this country in 2002. I actually switched my vote recently from the Liberals to One Nation. It's Australia first. I don't think it's a racist. A lot of people like myself who've working hard and have assimilated and worked from the ground up just want to see this country be great. Aussie, 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 says that texter.
That's nothing unusual, Jamie. I've got so many people from all, different countries. One Nation just puts Australia first. If you're Australian, we're fighting as much for the migrants that are living here now as we are that the generational Australians that are here. So if you're a citizen of this country, One Nation are all about putting Australians first. That's what we are. I don't care about the colour of your skin or where you're from. I care about if you're a good Australian that loves this country and assimilates and wants to make sure that our country stays the beautiful place that it is. All
right. Hey, we're going to pause for a moment. We'll come back. If you do have a question, you can flick it through on the text. You can give us a call as well, 133 882. More with Rod Caddies in just a moment, 5:20. Politically speaking, Rod Caddies, he is the leader of One Nation here in Western Australia. Rod, what surprised you most about Parliament? So you're new to this. You don't come from a political background. What's really grabbed your attention most and surprised you about the day-to-day?
It's hard to put a finger on what actually surprised me because I had seen a bit of it over the last 10 years, so I had been watching it. I guess the part when we're meant to be debating things on the floor of Parliament and you bring forward an argument on your side, but then you expect an argument to come back to convince you why you should vote one way or the other, but instead it's sort of more just attacking you personally or something like that. Rather than bringing an argument, I expected more argument from the other side as to convince you why you should vote for their like the government's, it's like an sort of an arrogance, like they don't have to give you good reasoning for anything. They don't even answer your questions properly. You'll ask a question and the answer they give you has nothing to do with your question.
Yeah. Do you think people are getting jack of that?
Oh, I know. I don't know. Do you mean the public or us?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I believe, we should be answerable to the people directly. And if people, we had a branch launch the other day for One Nation that I attended as a speaker, and an Indigenous man up the back wanted to ask a question, because he was yelling out a bit. And I said, no, ask your question. I want to be completely accountable and transparent. And so he asked his question. It was a difficult question. I answered it because that's what we should be doing. We should be open to be able to, answer anything anyone asks and be accountable for, what you say. You
talked about the change and the policies, I suppose, that you're bringing forward now. A huge part of it, probably right smack bang in the middle of this whole thing, is lowering migration numbers for One Nation. This is a text here from Mohammed, who says, why are immigrants always used as a political target? There's so many of us here working, paying taxes, raising Australian-born kids. We call this country home.
Well, we're talking numbers. We're not targeting migrants. We're talking about government decisions, their policy. There was some figures, and I don't know. I only heard it on a radio station yesterday, I think it was, and they were talking about 40 people an hour, coming to Australia, and there was a figure something like for every one child born in Australia, there was 3 migrants coming to Australia. So it's not about targeting migrants. It's about bad policy. It's about governments not putting Australians first. We don't have the infrastructure. And you need skilled migration, but that's why you got to work out your numbers to suit what we need, not just open the gates.
You should probably be pretty firm on those numbers, shouldn't you? Rather than saying, it's something I heard on a radio station, shouldn't you know?
No, I don't want to quote the figures because I'm a state member. I'm not in control of what is happening at a federal level. So I'm only giving my take on migration. I know there was...
How many migrants do we have coming to WA, and where do you think it needs to drop down to?
Well, there was 100,000 when I spoke at Parliament. There was 100,000, and I think it was like something like 73% of them, in the 70s, were net overseas migration, and the rest were from interstate. So a large majority of the people that were coming here were from net overseas migration.
Where do you think that needs to get to?
Well, I'm digging down. I'm one member with 2 staff. The amount of legislation that's been coming through. I don't have the resources at the moment to dig down deep into where would be the perfect number. I just know that the infrastructure, our services can't cope with what's there. And it's the people too who you're bringing into a state. If you don't have trades and the right people coming in, give you an example. They talk about needing more nursing, we're short of nurses. The government could introduce a policy, well, they don't have to introduce it. They could use more money to put into graduate nursing placements. We have so many nurses graduating their degrees here but can't get a job nursing because you've got to do a graduate placement and there's not enough placements. Yeah. There's something you could do instantly to fix that would reduce having to bring more people into our state. We could actually get some of our own nurses that have graduated a placement.
Let's go to Carol, who's in Rockingham. She's given us a call. Hey, Carol.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon, guys. I'm enjoying your show. I just wanted to ask your guest, how is it that splitting the Conservative vote will help get rid of this disastrous Labor government? Shouldn't they be looking at a preference sharing arrangement with the other Conservative Party?
Thanks for your question, Carol. What do you think, Rod?
Well, I guess it's been a long history there, and if you're talking about splitting vote, it's probably we got the highest vote for it. It was the Liberals splitting our vote in South Australia in the last election. But I would be keen on talking to anyone like that in the Conservative side to make sure we are preferencing like-minded parties who will create policy that is in the same mindset that I want for my state and country. So, yeah, I agree. We don't want to be splitting, but, it's not up to us. There's more than one, party. We can't do it. It's got to be from both sides.
Have you spoken much to the opposition leader, Basil Zemplis, about working together as you get closer to another state election?
Oh, I talk to all of the Liberals, the Nationals. I'm just a Conservative. I'm in One Nation Party and I'm the state leader here, so I'm pushing my party forward. But my first goal is to represent Conservative people of Western Australia. That is my number one goal. It's not about, my party doesn't come first. The people of Western Australia do, the Conservative people that are voting us in. So I think people put too much emphasis on the party rather than the people.
But would you work with the Liberal Party? I mean, I know it's a way away. And there's probably a lot of water under the bridge before you get to that point. But do you see as there's more strength if those two parties are working together, given the stranglehold that the Labor government has and the majority that it enjoys here in WA?
Oh, I'll definitely work with any party that will align with what I believe is right for this state. I'll work with them. I'd work with them in preferencing, if they've got the same end goal, if they're looking to look after the people of WA and their policies align with ours, yes, I'll definitely work.
And do you think they want to work with you?
I think they'd be worried. They'd be scrambling at the moment working out what they should do, because I think that's what's happened all over Australia. They don't know what way they should turn, if they work with us, we might be the opposition. They will be the person, the party that is, trying to get our preferences.
All right. Hey, Rod, I really appreciate you coming into the studio for a chat. It's the whole idea around this segment is to speak to a range of people across the political landscape. But thanks for coming in and having a yarn and speaking to a few of the listeners today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Jamie.
That is Rod Caddies. He is the state leader of One Nation here in Western Australia.